Hi, everybody. I hope that everybody is on and able to hear. It's okay if it takes you a few minutes. You won't miss anything important at first. My name is Debbie Wilkins Baisden, and I am so excited to host tonight's webinar. It is going to be really good. You may even want to think about getting some paper and pen to write down the highlights of tonight's webinar. You will get a link emailed to you so you're able to play it back, so don't freak out about that. But I am so proud to be Nature's Pearl Trim Body Transformation Coach, and I'm excited to tell you all that we have in store. But first, you have to know all about Coach Emily and her awesome husband, Dr. Wiggy Saunders. They are great friends of mine, so I really have to brag on them. I could say a lot. It's hard to restrain myself. But Coach Wiggy and Emily helped design and create...
Dr. Wiggy, Coach Emily.
Sorry, thank you. They helped create this fabulous plant-based protein powder that really has no other competition on the market because it is so good for you. It basically is healing you from the inside out, and we want you to learn how to look and feel your best, and so that's exactly what Wiggy and Emily have done. They worked really hard, and everyone loves being a part of this transformation. Everyone loves the Trim Body shakes because they're delicious and good for you, which is hard to find. You may have seen Dr. Saunders on the Doctor Show on TV, and so they are getting lots of beyond national attention for all of their hard work, as they really have a passion to help people look and feel their best in a way that in typical ways doesn't usually pan out. So if you've been frustrated maybe on how you feel or how you look, they have been a great source of information, and they're here for you, and they're going to be teaching us tonight about calories. Are they the be-all, end-all that we've been talking about since forever? I remember my mom counting calories. So are calories really the answer to everything, or is it more confusion? So Emily and Wiggy are going to help clear that up for us, and feel free to keep typing any questions throughout the webinar that you may have, and definitely stay tuned until the end because we have secret surprises for you that I can't tell you about yet.
Thank you so much, Debbie, for that introduction. We're going to go ahead and dig in and get started. So tonight on our webinar, what we're going to talk about is the importance of calories, the non-importance of calories, which I think we kind of made that word up, but calories are very important, but they are not the only thing that's important. And we're going to talk a lot about how to balance the important things about calories and the things that are not so important about calories. So we want everybody to type in the chat box here. Just take a guess and tell us how many calories should you be eating per day. What are your thoughts on that? Let's see what we see. So we're seeing 1,200, 2,000, 2,500, some more 1,200s, 1,200, 1,500, 180. Wow.
Oh, we must have been on a diet.
Lots of 1,200s, 13, 2,000. So pretty much almost as many people as are on our call we have different answers for. So somebody else is saying depends on your activity. So so how do we come up with this number? You know, where does it come from? How do we figure it out? And that's what we're going to talk a little bit more about right now. So first of all, let's talk about why calories are important. And we like to say this, that calories are the tiny creatures that live in your closet and sew your clothes a little bit tighter every night. So this is kind of the traditional view of calories, that they are kind of the end-all be-all, and that we're all eating too much of them, and that's why, you know, as we get older and our lives change and our bodies change, that we can just blame it all on those stinky calories. That's just a little laugh for you, but anyway, moving along, calories are basically fuel, energy, and this tells us a little bit more about the macronutrients that all foods are comprised of: carbohydrates, protein, fat, and alcohol. and what the caloric density is per gram for each type of calorie. And in the past, during the low fat craze of the late 80s and early 90s, you'll see here fat has more calories than protein and carbohydrates. So it became this evil thing that we just needed to avoid. So as long as you ate a low fat diet, you were great and it was all going to be fine. And that's where the root of this came from, is because it was a calorie focused approach to things. However, let's think about what happened during that time. The obesity epidemic in the United States skyrocketed, not just in the United States, but throughout the world. And now, now we're trying to undo actually the harm that did. And just in recent years, really, is fat starting to lose that terrible reputation that it had. So this is kind of a breakdown of how many calories are in each type of macronutrient. And you'll see as we move along, when we talk a little bit more about our program later, how we really do focus on macronutrients, but we don't necessarily consider fat as evil anymore. So let's talk about why calories are important. First of all, we want to say that calories do matter. So you'll read a lot now that calories don't matter at all, and it doesn't matter, and as long as you eat real food, you can eat as much of it as you want, and you're just going to lose weight no matter what, as long as you eat the right things. And while there is a lot of truth to being able to eat a high volume diet, calories ultimately do matter. And based on early studies, the mindset of calories in and calories out was formulated. And those studies said that with all things being equal, that if caloric consumption exceeded caloric expenditure, then weight gain will occur. And what did we get from this? The eat less, exercise more mindset that is still rampant in the diet and fitness industry today. Unfortunately, almost any trainer or coach that you look to, they are going to give you some kind of the package saying that you need to eat less and exercise more. And this is where that came from, is these studies that happened a while ago. But as you will see, all things are never equal. So if all things were equal, then a lot of people type 1,200 calories or 1,500 calories in the chat box, which I find really interesting, because those are the two kind of boxed number of calories that you hear. If you want to get results, then you need to eat 1,200 calories or 1,500 calories. You hear that almost more than anything else. And the fact of the matter is that doesn't take into account all of the other really important things that are happening in our bodies. And we're going to talk a lot more about those. So we want you to think of calories as little wooden building blocks. And we have a 2-year-old son, so maybe that's why wooden building blocks come to mind. But they can be used to build things, or they can be burned or knocked down for energy. So that's a good way to think about calories, and we're going to use this analogy a little bit more as we move along.
Yeah, and just to expand upon that, little wooden building blocks, thinking back about the caloric density, that is something you need to keep in mind when we're thinking about these building blocks, because that does matter. So we're looking at carbohydrates being 4, and protein being 4, and then fat being 9. The caloric density does have somewhat of a significance here. So just think about the number of building blocks that you're dealing with whenever you're consuming those things. But we'll get into this a little bit more detail about why that's not necessarily the most important thing to think about. So I'm going to take over here. I'm going to talk more about the non-importance of calories. And this was something that Emily and I were both kind of have learned about in the past, 5 years or so. And I think looking back, we both kind of had somewhat of a similar mindset initially, is that it is more about calories. I know kind of Emily, that was kind of her mindset initially, and even for me in medicine, that's kind of the mindset that we're taught. That's really our nutrition classes in med school are somewhat limited, so I've had to do a lot of nutrition and integrative thinking on my own. But really, what we're taught again in medical school as doctors is that it really only comes down to the amount of calories you're eating versus the amount of calories that you're expending, and if you get that right balance, then you're going to lose weight. And so, we'd be recommending people just to go and starve themselves, and hopefully they'll lose weight. But what I ran into quickly when I started practicing medicine is that did not work. And then I started to realize that it's much more complicated. And it's so much more complicated. The more that I know, it seems like the more that I don't know, because there's so many things that affect weight, and again, so much more than just calories. So just to think about this, and this is kind of the easy argument for those people that throw out the that saying that, oh, it's all about calories in versus calories out. And this is just a question for you guys. So what are some things that have 0 calories but affect your weight? And you can just throw a couple things out there, and we'll see if you guys come up with the same things that we thought of. So we were saying diet soda, artificial sweeteners, another diet cola. What else? What else you guys thinking? See if anyone can come up with what kind of 2 main things that we're thinking about. Water, that's a pretty good one. Genetics, yeah, absolutely. Sleep, good.
Yeah, Ruben gets the prize. He got one of the big ones.
Sleep, yep, sleep and stress, very good. Ruben's on it. There you go. A couple other people saying stress, cellular function. So, like I said, there are so many things here. But sleep and stress are 2 of the big things that you can think about. If someone is, and I see this every day in the practice, people are coming in and they're so frustrated because they're not losing weight. And when I talk to them a little bit further, they have 3 kids at home, they're working full-time job, they're not sleeping at all, they're stressed out at work, they have just other stressors going on, and with all that going on, they're not going to be able to lose weight just because stress does have a negative effect on weight control. Same thing with sleep. If you are not getting quality sleep, I see this time and again that weight is going to be very difficult to lose. So we'll kind of talk about why that seems to happen, but again, if you think about it, and everyone knows this kind of somewhat intuitively, if you're stressed out, you're going to gain a lot of times what happens with stress and with sleep is that those really control your hormones, and it really affects the hormonal balance. And these hormones are what happens to the calories and what really determines if we're able to burn them or if we're able to store them. So remember going back to that analogy about calories are like these wooden building blocks that can be used to either build things or used for energy. But on the other hand, hormones are like the workers that determine what happens to the wooden blocks. So just think about it. So, these wooden blocks, you can either build them up for storage or to make some structure, or you can kind of throw them into the furnace. If you throw them into the furnace, that's kind of your metabolism. They're going to be burned for energy and for just kind of normal daily functioning. But if other hormones are around, they're actually going to take those building blocks and they're going to turn them into things. What you want to be turning them into is like muscle and connective tissue, but you don't want to be turning them into fat, and that's where that hormonal balance is. Did you have anything to add to that, Em? Or?
No, I think that was great. Yeah.
So here's the 2 main type of workers that I consider hormones, and you can put these into 2 categories here. So these are the calorie burners versus the calorie storers. And the calorie burners, again, if you think about it, those are going to be those workers that are taking those wooden building blocks and they're throwing them into the furnace and they're burning them up and they're increasing your metabolism. The calorie storers, again, can be beneficial where you're building, again, good things like muscle, but they can also be detrimental where you're building bad things, and again, the worst thing is fat. And so you have to find the right balance between these calorie burners and these calorie storers. So when you look at these, different types of workers, what's out there and what's available, I'll just break these each down by the different type of hormones that there are. So thyroid is huge. Again, when you think about all things being equal, why can one person eat, a ton of food and the other person can't eat a ton of food? A lot of times it does have to do with, again, your basal metabolic rate, and the primary controller of that is your thyroid. And I've done a lot of reading on thyroid. It's kind of my niche, and I do a lot of kind of treatment for this. But oftentimes, people that are really having trouble, losing weight, they are suboptimal or they have low functioning thyroid, because this is our body's primary calorie burner. And so what this is doing is throwing wood into the fire to be burned, so you're going to keep burning and you're going to have an increased metabolism. Now, testosterone is kind of interesting. This is for both men and women. And a lot of people don't think about testosterone in women, but it is very important for them, just as it is for men. For men, this is our primary fat burner and our calorie burner. So it really does help with kind of breaking down fat. But what's interesting about it, it also has some calorie storing properties, where it is used primarily to help build muscle. So it kind of has dual purposes here. So it is throwing wood in the fire to be burned, but also helps build these useful structures. Same thing happens with women, is that this is also a very powerful calorie burner for women, but also has some calorie storing effects, again, primarily muscle building. Estrogen, and this is also in men, but this is primarily for women. This is kind of like the testosterone. So it is a calorie burner, but it is also a storer. So this is something that does help with kind of breaking down fat, but it can build useful structures. But also with estrogen, you have to be a little careful, because if this is too much out of balance, sometimes this can have some fat deposition effect. So you have to make sure that the estrogen and the other female hormones like progesterone, they're in the right balance. Now the next hormone here is insulin, and this is the primary calorie storer. So what you're having here is, if you have too much insulin around, if you have insulin resistance, then a lot of times you're going to be turning those calories, you're going to be turning them from those wooden building blocks, and you're going to turn them into fat. But what's interesting about insulin is that this is also one of the best muscle builders that our body produces. But it has to do with the other kind of combination of hormones that are around that's going to say whether or not insulin is going to turn it into muscle or turn it into fat. The primary problem that we see is that most people have too much insulin, and that turns a lot of the blood sugar, and that turns into fat storage. Now the next thing here is glucagon, and this is the kind of counterweight to insulin, and this is a primary calorie burner, and this works inversely with insulin. This actually helps to lower insulin levels, so it is important to try and promote glucagon secretion and to decrease insulin secretion, because again, glucagon is more of the calorie burner, and what seems to enhance glucagon production is more of the protein consumption, where insulin typically is more produced from carbohydrate consumption. And then the last one here, I guess this is not the only thing left on the list here, but cortisol is also a big player in this. And cortisol also has some interesting properties, because it can really be a calorie burner or storer. And a good way to think about cortisol, that is, it's kind of a peer pressure hormone, I guess you can kind of say that. If there are a lot of calorie burners around, then it's going to be more of a calorie burner. If it's more of if there's more fat storage around, those other hormones, then it tends to be used more for fat storage. So it can kind of be influenced and be an influencer for some of these other hormones. So it's really important about the balance, but it's also very important to keep all of these things in their proper ratios and in the proper balance. So I know that was a lot of information, and that may be somewhat new to you, but it is very important to think about these things whenever we're dealing with weight loss resistance, or if people are just not reaching the goals that they're shooting for. So for hormone balancing, this is kind of these are the things you need to be shooting for. So for men, you want to have higher thyroid, higher testosterone, lower estrogen, lower insulin, higher glucagon, and then plus or minus cortisol. Most of the times it's, again, finding that right balance about not too much and not enough cortisol. For women also, they want to have higher thyroid levels. Generally, it's going to be higher testosterone levels as well, especially if you're dealing with menopausal issues. But in certain cases like PCOS or other insulin-resistant cases, then a lot of times you actually have too much testosterone, and that's where you can actually have, again, also problems with weight loss resistance and oily skin, acne, and hair growth, and sometimes you do need to lower testosterone. Same thing with estrogen. Estrogen, again, with postmenopausal women, you want to have generally healthier levels, higher levels of estrogen, but in certain circumstances, if there's a lot of PMS or perimenopausal transition, then you tend to have higher estrogen, lower progesterone. Again, it kind of tends to be out of balance, and you want to have lower insulin, higher glucagon, and then plus or minus on the cortisol. So that's confusing. But again, the good news is that there's things that you can do to help balance your hormones. Yes, you cannot necessarily go and write yourself a prescription for Nature Throid or something like that, but there are things you can do to help balance out the other hormones again. And it's really about the environment of the hormones that makes a bigger difference about it. It tends to be more fat storage or tends to be more calorie burning.
So, and one thing to before we move on, the other thing to keep in mind is you mentioned writing a prescription for Nature Throid, and a lot of times what we see in practice is, people will be being treated with all of the right things, but they don't pay attention to their nutrition, because they kind of are looking for a magic pill, and then all of those wonderful, hormonal help still doesn't work.
Yeah.
And so we're going to talk a little bit more about how you can optimize your nutrition.
Yeah, and that's right, because the way I think about hormones is that evens the playing field. So if people are low thyroid and you fix their thyroid, or if their hormones are off and you fix their hormones, that evens the playing field, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you have free reign to kind of go and do whatever you want. All it does is set the stage for you being able to lose weight.
Good point. Yeah. So we've taken the guesswork out, and we have created a great program for you, which is called the Trim Body Transformation. And the Trim Body Transformation is focused on our protein powder that Dr. Wiggy formulated along with Nature's Pearl. That's been a fantastic partnership for the last couple of years. And he's going to tell us a little bit more about why he formulated the protein powder the way he did, that kind of relates with what we've been talking about this evening.
So the protein powder almost came out of necessity of just being an integrative medicine provider, because a lot of times, again, we're trying to do these things in order to help balance our hormones, in order to help kind of balance the internal physiology, in order to help people lose weight. And a lot of times that does depend on a high-quality protein powder. But what I noticed when I was starting in practice is that there was not a really good protein powder out there that had all the specific requirements that I needed as a doctor in order to help these people, again, with their weight loss resistance. So there are a couple unique features about this protein powder that, again, that isn't out there in the market. The first determining factor about the protein powder is what is the base powder, because all protein powders start with some base, and then they kind of work from there. Most of the protein powders that are out there and all the other big companies that are kind of making their protein powder, almost all of them are a dairy-based protein powder, so whether it's whey or it's casein. But one of the biggest problems that I see in the practice is a lot of people have dairy sensitivities. So they need to be staying off of whey and casein and other dairy products. So that throws out a ton of protein powders right off the bat.
And what percentage of the population would you say has a sensitivity to dairy, if you had to guess?
That's a tough question. I don't think there's really any hard and fast numbers with that. But from just my experience, I'd say probably 40% of the population at least has some dairy sensitivity. And it doesn't have to be some sort of allergic reaction. It's just one of those things where it can just be weight loss resistance, where they're just having a lot of dairy, and then that makes it very much more difficult for them to lose weight, and that can kind of be considered a sensitivity as well. So that's the first kind of distinction about a protein powder. We wanted to do it non-dairy, so we used pea-based or green pea-based protein instead. But I tell everyone, don't worry, it tastes amazing for a plant-based protein powder. So first is the base. The next thing is that a lot of the other ones that were plant-based, they use soy instead of the green pea. And again, that's an important thing too, because soy, when we're talking about hormones and about how the hormones affect calories and what happens with that, soy tends to have estrogenic type properties, also tends to have some thyroid blocking properties. And if you remember from that slide for about men and women, where do you want your levels to be? Neither of them want their thyroid to be suppressed. So you want to be avoiding soy, especially for the thyroid blocking effects that has. So again, that throws out a whole nother category of protein powders. The other thing is that a lot of the protein powders have a bunch of junk in it. We did ask about what are some other zero-calorie things that affect weight, and people were saying diet soda, diet cola, artificial sweeteners, and those are 0 calories, but they definitely affect your weight for sure. Because they have the same sort of stimulating effect on insulin as sugar does. So, and again, if you remember what insulin is, that is the primary fat-storing hormone. So we want to get rid of all those artificial sweeteners, kind of the other things that they throw in there. And we just wanted to use just a little bit of stevia, just a little bit of raw cane sugar, just to give it enough sweetness to make it where it's, again, very, very palatable. And then we also want to get rid of a lot of the toxins. It's all natural. It's clean. There's nothing bad in it. We use it for our kid. We use it for Adler. So it's, again, a real high-quality protein powder. The other thing is that I think enhances the protein powder is that we're also throwing the muscadine grape seed and skin into the powder as well. And that's a whole nother presentation. But the muscadine, the grape seed and skin has the anti-inflammatory effects and the antioxidant effects that really stimulates all those other things that tends to help with the fat burning and with the weight loss results. So this unique combination of the plant-based protein that's based off of green peas, there's no artificial sweeteners, and enhanced with the muscadine grapeseed really makes this the best protein powder on the market.
So now that we know all about NP Pro, let's talk a little bit about the Trim Body Transformation. So the Trim Body Transformation is the program that is based around our NP Pro protein powder. And it takes into consideration the overall effect of calories while also helping to balance the fat storing versus the fat burning hormones that we've been talking about this evening. So it completely takes the guesswork and the confusion out of it. We've done a ton of work, clinically and with individual clients and patients, and really have been able to figure out, okay, what is the best way that we can present this to a lot of people and help them to get the results and balance their hormones while also paying attention to calories without having to do any counting whatsoever, because that just makes people crazy. That's my opinion. So the Trim Body Transformation is a 12-week program. It's divided into 3 phases. The first phase is the jumpstart phase, and we start with some basic guidelines as far as, for those 4 weeks, we give you kind of exactly what to do. And then from then on, we start to allow you to figure out what is working with your body and what is not. So those 4 weeks are kind of like a reset cleanse, and then you're going to start to get some biofeedback from your body in the form of either hunger or energy or cravings, or not any of those things, which is great if you're still getting results. And we're going to guide you in phase 2 about how to begin making those adjustments for your body and what your body is telling you. And then in phase 3, we're going to focus on the long term. So the last thing that we want to do is to put a program in front of a bunch of people that's going to work really great for 12 weeks, and then by week 15 or 16, you're back to where you started. That is not our intention at all. This is not a quick cleanse or anything else like that. Most of our really successful Trim Body Transformation participants are those that have been doing this since for the long haul. We've got people that have relatively quickly lost 20 or 30 pounds, but then over the course of a year and a half, they've ended up losing 75 plus pounds, and that's amazing. But the purpose of this is for this to be something that you can do forever, because there are plenty of crash diets out there, and that's the last thing that we want to provide for you.
Yeah, and I think that's an important distinction to make, is that a lot of people or a lot of these other companies, they're promoting like a 12-day cleanse or a 21-day crash course or whatever they call it. But again, that some people do get results for the short term, but they don't get results for the long term. And that's what we're doing with this program. We want this to be a lifestyle. We want this to be where you can do this for the rest of your life, because that's where real transformation happens. Yes, it is good to lose weight quickly, and you do that with this program. But it's also something where, again, you can just get healthier year after year. Another important thing to think about with this program is that not only is it the nutrition piece, but we also have the workout side here. So maybe talk a little more about the DVD.
Yes, so our workout DVD, during the 3 phases, we also guide you on your exercise. And these, our workouts are focused on people that are new-ish to exercise. So for the first phase of the first 2 weeks of phase 1, we just walk. And walking is incredibly important. We talked a lot about cortisol and stress and those things earlier. Leisure walking is fantastic. We try to take leisure walks every night that we can when we get home from work as a family. It's a great way to bring those stress levels down after a crazy day. And so when we talk about walking in our program, we're not talking about power walking. We're talking about, you know, talk and sip water, drink your coffee in the morning, whatever it is that you do, and be able to just comfortably walk. So the first 2 weeks, we just do a fair bit of that. Then we want you to maintain that throughout the rest of the program, but then we begin with body weight workouts only for the rest of the phase 1 program. And then we begin to incorporate short-term, high-intensity weights workouts. So we use dumbbells only on our DVD. These are workouts that can be done anywhere with a set of dumbbells and an exercise mat. And they're no longer than 20 minutes long, and they are incredibly effective because what we're doing is we are stimulating all of those fat-burning hormones that we talked about tonight through exercise, because exercise stimulates a lot of our fat-burning hormones. And this type of exercise is the type of exercise to do that. So, you know, that long duration cardiovascular exercise that a lot of people turn to when they decide they're going to get healthy actually increases those stress hormones, which we taught tonight. Even though you might be burning a gazillion calories, when those stress hormones increase, the body wants to hold on to fat or store it.
Yeah, and that's, you know, the reason why this program is so effective is that we take these things into consideration. So we're not just throwing this program out there because, you know, it sounds good or that it's, you know, this is the easy thing to do, even though it is pretty easy to follow this program. We do it because it's science-based and because it makes sense, and this is what people need in order to balance those hormones. So again, we put walking in there for a reason. We put walking in there in order to kind of control those cortisol levels. We put those high-intensity weight training exercises in there for a reason, because they help to boost the testosterone. They actually help boost growth hormone levels as well. You know, there are reasons why we structure this program the way that we did from a nutrition-wise and from a weight and from a exercise standpoint. When you put the two together, and that's when you start to see the immediate or the
See are just from 12 weeks. So this is Fern, and you'll see she is 50. She feels like she's 30. Over just 12 weeks, she's lost 19 pounds and 15 inches. I also want you just to look at her skin and just see how much healthier she looks in her after picture. I mean, she just has a complete glow going, and she just looks so much healthier. She's gotten all those toxins out of her body, and her body is now working the way that it's supposed to. So we're really proud of Fern. Next, this is our friend Cassidy. This is actually a 6-month transformation. And again, we talked about the long haul because our goal is to give you that kickstart you need so that you can do it forever. And this is his 6-month transformation, and we're incredibly proud of him. And the pictures speak for themselves here. He has, he has a back injury, an old back injury, and very weak knees. So he was having a lot of trouble and before just functioning, and he has a very young son, and this program has really helped him to begin to be able to lift weights, to do all kinds of things, to go hiking, things that he's never been able to do in the past 10 years. He's now able to do on a daily basis. So we're incredibly proud of him as well.
And that's another cool thing about this program is that this program, yes, it's made for weight loss, and people do lose weight and their physique changes. But beyond that, their quality of life tends to be so much better. You know, a lot of times people that have pain issues, their pain gets a lot better. This is also a great program for healing. So if people are having, joint issues that they've had for long periods of time and they just need to kind of get back on the healing path, this is a great program for that as well. And like I said, a lot of people also talk about how much better just their body feels overall, besides just the physique changes that they've noticed.
And this is Julia. This is another 12-week challenge participant, and she lost 17.5 pounds and 26.5 inches. That's a lot of inches in 12 weeks. So she's feeling healthy and energetic. Her digestive issues and bloating have cleared up. Her candida, which is yeast overgrowth, is gone. The weight in inches are disappearing. Her mind is alert. So you're seeing a lot of those other side effects that we're talking about. And a lot of those are affected by hormones and those foods that we have sensitivities to that tend to be a really big part of our American diet that we begin to eliminate when we follow the trim body transformation. This is just a funny another one to kind of finish off with this evening. So it says, inside me there's a thin person struggling to get out. Hopefully he's burning a lot of calories. And actually we just included these because you'll see, like, this is what the diet and fitness industry tells you. Like, you need to pay attention to calories and it's all going to be fine. And hopefully tonight you learned that there's a lot more to the picture than just simply counting calories and staying under some arbitrary number and expecting linear results as a result. So we are going to hand it over to Debbie. She's going to tell you some really exciting things. I'm glad you guys have stuck it out because there's some great specials that she's going to share with us.
Thank you, guys. Okay, so on your screen, hopefully everyone's technology is cooperating and you're seeing the awesome promotion that Nature's Pearl is offering you from this webinar. You're going to get a 4-pack of the Trim Body Shakes, and every 4-pack comes with a free bottle of the capsules, and those capsules are what Dr. Wiggy was talking about that come from the muscadine extract. That's a really good thing. These retail for $34.99, and inside is 30 capsules, and for my husband alone, he loves using these capsules. He was starting to feel like he was almost getting like arthritis in his left side, and it has totally gone away just by taking these capsules. So this is a great deal because you get to pick the flavor combinations that you want. You can get 4 vanillas or 4 chocolates, or you can mix and match and get 2 of each. Sometimes I even make shakes with half a scoop of vanilla and half a scoop with chocolate, and that way I feel like I'm getting the best of both worlds. So this special is going to end. So you do need to order it tonight because after Friday at midnight, you're not going to be able to get this offer. So you definitely want to do this. So not only do you get the 4 canisters of yumminess, they really do taste kind of like ice cream. You're also going to get the free bonus bottle of capsules, and then they're including, it's crazy, you're getting the DVD. That's the one with all the workouts that you need in it of all different levels. Everybody can do these workouts. These are not like Olympic workouts. They are very easily modified for all activity levels, and you're getting the Trim Body Transformation Guide booklet for free. And what's inside the booklet? That's your 12-week eating plan. So this is telling you what to eat, what not to eat, so that you have everything right at your fingertips. You can keep it in your kitchen. You can keep it in your car. You will always know exactly what to do, and you won't have any questions about what to do. So you're getting 3 free things that normally would cost over $130. So all of this is a package deal. It's all going to come together. And for all of those questions that you may have after watching such a short seminar, as helpful as it is, we want to offer you daily support in this journey. And so I am happy to be your Trim Body Transformation Coach and offer another freebie of 12 weeks of free coaching as you go along the 3 phases. And this is an exclusive thing. We're going to have our own Facebook page where you can ask any questions. It's a great place of community and support where everybody can encourage each other and motivate each other. And Facebook is a great way to kind of have this communication with each other right at your fingertips. If you can't remember something or you want to ask any types of questions that come across, or just share, a lot of people like to share the recipes that they concoct, which is really fun. So you'll be getting lots of information any way that you need it. It's available on all forms of media for you. And again, you really have to order by Friday night, preferably tonight, because we want you to have time to get the products to you so that when we start the transformation, which will start this coming Monday, the 11th, how exciting, you want to make sure that you have the Trim Body Shakes, you want the transformation guide at your fingertips, and you want to go ahead and join that closed Facebook page. In front of you, you should see the npprowebinar.com link. This is how you're going to make your purchase so that you get the webinar special. If you go to the regular Nature's Pearl website, the capsules will not be included. This is exclusively for you. We're really excited that you're going to be a part of it. And I'm excited to coach. I'm excited to do this with you. It is possible. It is sustainable. This is not a yo-yo diet. You're not going to have to grin and bear it and hate the whole thing. It's going to be a really great experience that's actually addictive, and you're going to see a lot of great results in how you look and feel. So if anyone has any questions, I can try to answer them in the question bar as well.
Thank you, Debbie. And we're so excited that Debbie is going to coach through this next transformation 12 weeks. She does a fabulous job. She's incredibly motivating. She gives us little video clips, I mean, all kinds of things to really bring our group together, and is incredibly encouraging and knowledgeable and supportive and just an amazing coach. And so we're really excited. So this is going to be a closed group. So you're going to need to use this link to make your purchase so that we can get you on our email list, because in addition you will get weekly emails for each step of the way. So we're going to take you right along through those 12 weeks, and every Monday you're going to get an email kind of talking about what our focus is for that week. So it really will help you stay on track, so you don't just kind of want to stick your little transformation guide on your pile of papers. We're going to make sure that you stay on track by sending you weekly emails with a lot of the content as well.
So we're just going to open up the webinar to some questions now. I want to preface the questions that we do not have anyone from corporate on tonight. So if you have business-related questions, then that probably is best to call customer service in the morning, and they'll help walk you through it. But if you have any questions about the protein powder, about the Trim Body Transformation, about how this program works, just let us know.
And somebody asked about, is the product, the NP Pro, safe for young children that have digestive problems? And I think that depends upon what the specific problems are. But most kids that have sensitivities to gluten and dairy and those kinds of things do really well on the product. Our son has been drinking it daily since he was around a year old. It's his favorite thing. We make all kinds of great things for it. There's absolutely nothing in it that anyone, generally healthy, with the exception of a very few health problems, should not be able to drink this shake. So we get a lot of questions about diabetics and about young children, about pregnancy, breastfeeding, all those kinds of things. There's absolutely nothing harmful in this product. It's completely natural, so there's no reason to avoid it for any of those reasons.
Someone's asking about the expiration date of the shake. I'm pretty sure that the shake has a 2-year shelf life, but we found that it's best consumed, especially when you open it, to consume it within 30 days.
Right, yeah, there's a 2-year shelf life, but once you open the product, you need to consume it within 30 days, generally for best freshness.
So a question about storing body fat in thighs. Yeah, this could potentially help with that. That's also an indicator of potentially hormones being out of balance, because especially estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, and thyroid, those are all related to actually where you deposit fat. So that's also something to keep in mind. But again, this really sets a foundation for any sort of hormonal change to work. So if you do feel like there is some sort of hormonal balance or some sort of thyroid problem, it's good to do some sort of program so you can set the stage for whenever that is optimized, then things will start to work better.
Someone asked about do we recommend meals? That's one of the beautiful things about the Facebook page. So in your booklet, you're going to get lots of nutrient breakdown and some suggestions of what meals might look like and all that. You're going to get a foods list. You're going to get all kinds of great things in the booklet. However, on the Facebook group, we have tons of recipes for shakes and for meals and so forth. There's always links that people share. So that's one of the other beautiful things about the Facebook group is that camaraderie and really sharing and supporting each other along with the other people going through the transformation.
So can the shake be used as a meal replacement? Yeah, absolutely it can. We structured it in the Trim by Transformation to be basically a meal replacement. There are a couple other things a couple of variables to keep in mind with that. But a lot of times people, yeah, they'll just use this as like their breakfast. A lot of times that's a good way to start off. Or they use it for like an afternoon snack. So it's really good for craving. So there's flexibility that's built into the Trim by Transformation. So it's not like you have to have 3 shakes, for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We kind of tailored around what's going to work for your schedule. But yeah, it can be used for a meal replacement.
Yes, and we recommend during the 12 weeks that 2 meals or snacks per day will be comprised of shakes.
So to get started with the Trim by Transformation, generally we're recommending 2 shakes a day. So that can be one for breakfast or lunch or for dinner, and for maybe one for a snack. So generally start off with 2 shakes a day, and then as we progress, sometimes you come back down to 1. But yeah, so that's kind of that's the jump start phase to get in with those 2 shakes, and then we'll figure out again how you make it work for the long run.
And there's some questions about Jamaica and the Bahamas. I'm not really sure about all that, so you'll need to contact customer service tomorrow with any questions about, if I already have this product and so forth. We don't have those answers, so you'll have to contact customer service for those questions, which is one of the good things about having this open till Friday, so you can share with all your friends. And if you do have questions we aren't able to answer tonight, you can get those answered from customer service.
So the question is about some belly fat, and that's one that really seems to be stubborn. Belly fat can be from a couple of different things. It can definitely be a cortisol issue. That's one thing that if you do some reading, cortisol seems to be one more so connected with belly fat. But like I was saying, is that cortisol, thyroid, sex hormones, all those are connected. So a lot of times it's more important about getting all those things balanced in order for the belly fat to go away.
Someone asked about how the protein affects the hormones. A higher protein diet stimulates one of the hormones we talked about, glucagon. And the beauty of glucagon is that it combats insulin. And insulin resistance is probably the biggest problem with obesity and fat loss resistance in our society today. So that's where the higher protein focus comes in, and the lower carbohydrates. And somebody pointed out, so you're getting $99 for 4 canisters. You're paying $99 for 4 canisters for a booklet and a DVD that you would pay a whole lot of money for online for that information, or if you decided to become my client or Wiggy's patient. If you're getting coaching by Coach Debbie, who is a renowned personal trainer and has her own programs that she sells for a lot of money, and you're getting all of that for $99, which comes out to about $2 per meal, not to mention all those bonuses. So this is a fantastic offer for sure.
And keep in mind, when you order tonight from this special website, you can order more than just 1 4-pack. I just want to make sure everybody knows that you can do several, knowing that you'll want it to last if each canister is 15 servings. I'm the kind of person, I don't like to have to keep shopping and restocking on things, so I would suggest personally making sure that you have enough, especially if you have a large family like I do and they want to take all of my protein powder.
Yeah, we have that problem too, with the little guy.
Adler likes protein.
He does. Yeah, he likes protein in his oats, and he likes protein in pretty much everything. So, someone asked what the regular price is if don't order tonight. But again, you have this until Friday, so you'll need to contact your Nature's Pearl representative if you've got questions about the differences in pricing. But if you just order the protein powder off of the website, then you're not going to get any of these bonuses. And so while you'll have a fantastic protein powder, you're not going to have the guidance as far as how to best use it with your nutrition and how to optimize your nutrition otherwise. Okay, so I see a lot of questions that are things that will be answered as far as when you go through the trim body transformation. Lots of specifics about how to mix it and that kind of thing. And those are all details that we'll go through when you actually become part of the transformation. So we'll get into all those details. And the protein powder is incredibly versatile. So while shakes are kind of the thing that we use the most, you can use it for almost anything. Like I said, we mix it in our son's oats in the morning, and I do that myself as well. That can be a fantastic breakfast. You can make popsicles and all kinds of different bars with it. You can make puddings. I mean, it's unlimited, really, what you can do with the powder.
I like to make protein pancakes with the powder, so sometimes I'll mix it with things like pumpkin. So it really does do a lot of things.
So somebody asked about pregnancy. So yes, like we said, it's definitely for most people, check with your doctor always, but there's nothing in NP Pro that is not safe during pregnancy. There's nothing artificial. It's all, you can read the back of the label and you're going to understand every ingredient on there, and there's nothing that should not be consumed during pregnancy, breastfeeding, for young children, and so forth. Somebody mentioned the app, and we should talk a little bit more about that. Yes, absolutely. There is a free app. So when you join the Trim Body Transformation, you can search for, in your app store, whatever type of platform you use for your phone, you can search for NP Pro Trim Body Transformation, and you'll be able to find that and download it for free. And it does include a few of the resources that we offer, so you can have those in your back pocket when you go to the grocery store and so forth. It also has some great tracking advice. And for anyone that has additional questions, if the things that we did not answer, make sure to contact your Nature's Pro representative, whoever invited you to the webinar. Contact them and let them know you are part of the webinar tonight, and share any questions you might have.
All right, guys, I'm going to wrap up here pretty soon, maybe just another minute or so. If you have any other questions, go ahead and throw them up there. Otherwise, we're going to kind of wrap it up.
And yes, Jamaica and Bahamas team, we're really not sure about the ordering process, so you will need to contact customer service about that maybe tomorrow. So I think that we've covered as much as we can as far as the overall big picture questions. And some of these specific things, these are great things to ask on the Facebook page once you get plugged into the Trim Body Transformation. So the way to join the Trim Body Transformation and get those 12 weeks of coaching, you must order through the npprowebinar.com link. That is the only way that you'll be able to join the upcoming 12-week transformation. And yes, the webinar is recorded, and you should be getting a link probably by tomorrow morning sometime that you can listen again, or you can forward and share with whoever you want to.
All right, guys, I think that's going to be it for the evening. I said if you have any other questions, you can contact customer service tomorrow or get in touch with the Nature's Pro representative that that showed you about this webinar. There's a lot of people that have a ton of information out there, but hopefully you guys enjoyed the webinar, learned something. Thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate you taking time out of your evening to sit down with us and learn a little bit more about the Calorie Conundrum. So we'll be in touch soon. We'll be talking to you guys. Might be seeing you in the Bahamas or at the International Convention.
Yes, we can't wait. See you soon. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.